Ever since I was a younger kid, I've always wanted to do a service trip because I've always watched them on movies, TV shows, and I've always been interested in it. And my mom has actually always been interested in it too, and she said, you are definitely going on this Ecuador trip, because she's always wanted to do one and I've always wanted to do one. So it was just an amazing thing that I could actually live a dream that I never thought it was possible to do.
So on the fourth day, we stopped and had lunch at the hacienda, and after that we had a little bit of free time before our host families came to pick us up. It was probably one of the best moments of the trip, just because we got to meet these people who were staying for 5 days.
Family was very gracious and amazing because they took in 6 of us, and when everyone was sick they offered up their house to everyone who was sick, and they were really kind and just made us feel at home.
My host brothers were great. They were 14 and 18 and we had a lot in common. They spoke really good English, so did the parents. They were just overall very welcoming, really nice to us, and yeah, they were really giving.
One of the most important things for me to realize on this trip, I think, was just the fact that these people weren't really, they were kind of getting something in return for us coming there, but they really opened up their hearts more than I would have expected from anyone, really. I don't know if I would have been that open to have 3 teenagers come and stay in my house and just have to feed them and not be able to talk to them, and just how welcoming every single member of their Rotary Club was. They were just so excited for us to just be there.
The Rotary-sponsored nursing home that we worked with had 65 full-time residents and 18 part-time residents. While we were there, we learned that a lot of the residents had essentially been abandoned by their families and left in these nursing homes. This really impacted us because we realized how our small actions was making a really large difference in their life.
So thank you very much for having us. We're excited to be here with 16 our youth from Canada. This is going to be an amazing experience, and thank you so much for everyone and everything, and all of your hospitality. We look forward to working together.
At the seniors home, we got the opportunity to be able to do small acts of service, as well as just doing everyday things like gardening and painting, just small things like that, and just be able to see the expressions on everybody's face, because this doesn't happen very often, and they were so grateful that there was no words to describe it. A moment that opened my eyes was when we were working at the nursing home, and all the elderly people, they would want to touch your hand and say, hello, good morning, and they, some would even want to hold your hand for a little longer and kind of touch your face, and they would thank you. They would just thank us, and just for coming there, not even for doing our service project, just for being there. They really appreciated it and us.
I was part of the painting crew. We repainted a hallway that was yellow and orange. We painted it white and brown. I have a funny story from that. So when you walked into the facility, there was a wall at the end that had a door in it, and we had to paint that. So we painted the top part white, and then we left. And then we come back the next morning, and there's this huge metal door thing sliding, I don't know what it's called, it's sliding door thingy right on top of our painting, so we had to paint around it. It was annoying.
At the nursing home, some of us were in the garden, some of us were painting, which was pretty fun. We had a bunch of us that were trying to get the job done. We had some problems with primer. Their version of primer there was water and paint. That was very interesting, and our painting job was very good and looked very nice in the nursing home.
For the most part, we got the job done because there were some obstacles in the way where, you know, the paint wasn't dry enough, or the taping job wasn't done or whatever, but we figured out ways to get around that, and they worked out fine.
So while doing the projects at the seniors care home, I got to help paint a mural, which was really cool because we got to basically leave our mark there in Latacunga with the painting, and it kind of represented the volcano Cotopaxi, which is a big symbol in the Latacunga with the people there, and we had the flags representing the Rotary clubs that helped us, which was the US and then Canada's flag and Ecuador's flag. And it was really cool. While we're painting, people would walk by and they just like cool. They were like, you could see that they were like, oh, this is cool. And that was cool to see that.
On our first day of our project at the nursing home, we went to go see a little show they would put on. So they would make costumes out of recycled things, and everyone would vote on whose costume was the best, and then we'd all get up and have a dance party. It was really cool just because you saw how happy the seniors were when they were just dancing around and having fun, and that was a really good thing about the nursing home. They just wanted the seniors to have fun and happy lives.
My dad built a compost together, which was fun because they have no sized lumber in Ecuador, that was a culture shock. And yeah, we redid the garden by doing rows for the greenhouse and stuff.
So on our last day at the nursing home, a bunch of us went out with my host mother and we started painting nails. And a lot of the old ladies there, they don't have a lot of visitors, so it was kind of a big deal that we were there and painting their nails for them and just spending some time with them. And yeah, it was really cool.
Leading up to the trip, we fundraised a lot for the medical equipment and the greenhouse, and it'll be put to good use, and people in that nursing home and the staff members were very gracious and thankful for us purchasing that.
This is an Italian model?
I was also surprised at the grandeur of our project. Before we went, we talked about buying equipment, but when we got there, we saw like how much of an impact our medical equipment was going to have and the size of our greenhouse. And we also got to do small projects that we didn't think of, like painting the walls and painting women's nails and playing soccer with the people and just being there and making connections.
Probably my favorite moment was just meeting the locals. I did a lot of the garden work with a couple of local people, one girl named Christina and one boy named Eduardo. They're both from Quito, and their English isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. And then I got to practice a little bit of my Spanish, and it was just really cool and unique being able to meet them. I'd never really met somebody and got to know them that well from a foreign country.
I realized service above self came in many different forms. The host families opened their homes to us. I really loved that they took care of us even though they didn't really know us that well. Like when I was sick, I got pretty sick, and they had wonderful hospitality and they all took care of us, and it was just really nice.
We missed out on a lot of the activities because we were sick, but we still had a really great time hanging out together and getting to know each other better.
Honestly, I think my favorite group moment was the time that all of us were sick. We just sort of sat around and talked about how Ecuador had been so far and how we were still so excited and how disappointed we were that we were all sick. And we'd be like, I know we're sick, but we're going to pull through because this is an amazing trip.
After we were done at the nursing home doing our work, a lot of the group did some extra little touring around Latacunga, and we got together a couple nights at one of the Rotarians' houses and had a taco night. And after we were done at the nursing home, it was great to get together as a club again and experience things on a more personal, cultural level.
Sometimes we'd go out with all the host families. We'd all go out places, like we went to a pool and we went swimming. After that, sometimes we'd go touring, like we went to a lot of churches, which was really cool to see all the culture inside the church, like with the architecture.
So on the fourth day that we were in Latacunga with our host families, we drove about 2 hours up all the way in the mountains to this lagoon. It was a really cool touring experience to walk down this massive mountain and this sand trail and then make it all the way to the bottom with this big lake. And then it took us an hour to hike up, and it was probably one of the hardest hikes I've ever done, but it was totally worth it because now half of us can say, you know, we hiked down to a lagoon in Ecuador and then we hiked back up, and it was just a really cool touring experience altogether.
So the last time we got to really bond with our host families, it was at the Rotary Club in Latacunga. So we went to dinner and like a wrap up. There was dances, there was a lot of food.
Through Rotary, we've built lots of friendships and connections, and I'm forever grateful for this trip.
I don't know, Greg talked about when you go somewhere and people are like, oh, you can always come back. But you could tell at the end, like every single member of that Rotary Club was like, you can come back and stay with me and I will look forward to seeing you again, and they really meant it. I don't know, it was really strange because you go to this new country and you meet complete strangers and they love you. Like, they just love you automatically.